Sealed mode is finally out. I made just 2 run and in both reached 7 win. And today I will give you the best sealed tips that will help you to reach 7 win as well. So now let's jump right into the tips. So the first tip I want to give you is to check all the 60 cards. What does it mean? It means that in Ghost Unchained Sealed mode there is a particularity where you have as up, so literally when you enter in the modality, all the cards that you are able to utilize for build your deck. This is actually a really big information that, for example, you don't have in the sealed, for example, of MTG Arena, because you just pick a card and then you change the pack and so on, so you don't know all the pool of cards. Instead, in the sealed of Ghost Unchained, you already know all the cards that you can build with. So this is really important to go at least, I would say, 2 or even 3 times through all your cards, so you read everything, because in this way you can make a general idea about how you want to build your deck. For example, if you see you have a lot of low mana good card, you can build an aggro. Or if you see that you have a bunch of good bombs at high mana, so really good cards, you can try to build a deck that can reach that high mana and so on. Or another example, if you have a lot of synergizing cards, like for example a lot of Olympian, you can run more Olympian cards and so on. So the best thing that you can do is literally read 2-3 times all your cards, even because in this way you're sure that you don't miss any good card. Now the second tip that is really important is to pick the correct god power. Why is that important? Because actually the god power is probably the only thing that is not random in this modality, because you can choose it, and so you can choose the best god power that will guarantee you value through all your games, even because those decks are generally kinda bad, so the god power gain a lot of more value than what it usually does on ladder. But you will ask me, what are the best god power? So I made a tier list. So as you can see, I prefer in this modality value god powers. What does it mean? It means that literally just the god power will give you something. So for example, Enrage, Flourish, Soulborn, all those things doesn't give you really something. Instead, Summon Acolyte, it gives you literally a good creature. Or Tiberi as well gives you, generally speaking, a lot of good cards. A lot of people are utilizing Nature or Light as their main god, so Tiberi gives you actually kinda decent 1 mana drop, so it's actually really good. And then we have there all the pings with Animal Bond. To be honest, a lot of people rank Animal Bond higher. I don't super like that, because the fact that the 1/2 is confused is really bad in my opinion, because that creature essentially will die against each other creature that attacks, and the fact that it's confused, it means that you can't most of the time even attack, because it's hard in this modality to have the buff. So Animal Bond is generally speaking good in aggro nature because you can buff it, but in this modality it's hard to buff, so I think it's kinda trash. The only other thing that I want to say about the god powers are Slayer and Clear Mind. I put those in tier B, and actually it was because it was the middle, but those can go from S to D tier in my opinion, because those are really dependent from your deck list. What does it mean? It means that if you have a really good deck list with a lot of low mana creature good, that you can apply pressure, and I mean you don't even really need super good creature, you just need a lot of low mana creatures. So essentially you want to build an aggro, Slayer is the best god power. It's literally S tier, because you can push a lot of damage at the start with your creatures, and then you start to Slayer every turn, and essentially in this modality there are really few leech, really few healing, so it's really good, to be honest, Slayer, if you have a really low mana curve. Instead, when is good Clear Mind? You will say Clear Mind doesn't guarantee value, and so it is actually against what I said before, but Clear Mind is really good when you have a really particular type of list that is a list really with a good amount of bomb, so like 4 or 5 really good cards that can literally almost win you the game alone, and together in the same list you have a bunch of really trash cards. So in this way, with 4C you can go through your deck faster, find faster your bomb, and sending away all the trash card that you have. So those 2 god power are really situational. Generally speaking, those 2 are better. Now the third tips is that synergy cards are bad cards. Why am I saying that? Because actually on the normal ladder synergy cards are really good, but on sealed mode you will have really hard times to find a really good synergy, like from Olympian to Olympian, or Amazon to Amazon, or even like, I don't know, Clone that is really good on combo but is actually kinda trash on sealed, as well as School Teacher and so on. So all those synergy cards are kinda bad because those lose stats, so the normal stats line for their effect that actually will never proc, or it will proc really few times, so it's really not worth. Other cards that are not super good in this modality are cards that don't make a big impact on the board, for example like even all the sleep spell that actually are really good on ladder for big controls, but on sealed, since it's hard to build a big control and since you are not sure to have a lot of clear after or have I don't know a Demogorgon follow up or Ortuk and so on, those spells that actually does nothing on the board are really bad. The fourth tip is to keep an eye on the mana curve, and yeah guys, mana curve is really important on modality like sealed mode, but as you can see I didn't say that to keep your mana curve the lowest possible, and I have a kinda an explanation for that. For example, on MTG it's really important to maintain the mana curve as low as possible, but why in Ghost Unchained is not super the same? First of all, there is no Sanctum, so there is no snowball effect, so they will farm favor even if they start faster, but they will do nothing with that favor. Another really important thing is that you have god power there, so if you pick like a good god power like Summon Acolyte, with 3 mana you can literally play a decent creature, so why should you waste a draw for draw a really bad low mana creature and that does almost nothing because it's really bad? It really has not point because you still have your god power. So this obviously doesn't mean that low mana cards are bad, actually those are still the best cards for sealed mode. What I'm saying is that it's not worth to take the really bad low mana cards just for maintain a good mana curve, even because if you have a good god power you can cover a bit your missing of low mana drop utilizing your god power. The fifth tip that it can seem kinda easy is to do not miss bombs. So what are the bombs? The bombs are the cards that can literally win you the game almost standalone, because yeah, there are not a lot of removal in this game, so that card if it stay on the board it makes really a huge impact, can win you along the game. So guys, it's really important for you to find those type of cards if you have in your 60 card pool, and even if they don't enter in your mana curve, as I said, just put them in anyway, because most of the time they will carry the game, so you don't care if you have like a 2/8 mana drop, if both can win you the game like Alien and Elite, you run both. So an example of bomb for me that you actually can think that is not a bomb in a normal ladder is Death Witch H's. So that card is a 3/7 stats for 6 mana, so it's not really huge, but if they don't deal with that the first turn that you play that, and it's really hard on sealed because a creature with 7 health body is really hard to kill, then from the turn after every card you play you spawn a 3/1 as well. So that card is literally the perfect card for sealed, because you really take a lot of board presence, that is what you want in sealed, because as I said it's really hard for people to have a really good clear, so having the board and having a card as Death Witch H's that spawn you cards every turn is really a big bomb, and that's why I made 7 win. The sixth tip is to pick any decent removal, because as I said the removal are really hard to find, because actually you will see that a lot of spells are really trash, you will have really few spells and the majority of those will be trash, so every removal that you can find that is decent, in my opinion you should take it. And another important thing is to not waste removal. So obviously this is situational, so for example utilize that removal can make you really go wide on the board and maintain a big portion of the board, and you are like at low mana, you can utilize that because you gain a lot of value for that removal. But if for example you are going really slow, you have one creature, your opponent have one creature, and you are like near to 6-7 mana, so you know big things are coming, you should not waste your removal even if you see that you will help you on the board, but you should just try to deal with that creature with your board and keep the removal for the big things that are coming, because as I said there are really a few removal in this game, so yeah, just try to have the best value from those. The seventh tip is big stats over effects. So this is obviously a general rule, it's not a main rule. There will be effects that are so good compared to stats that you should prefer that card, and this is a thing that you have to understand obviously on your own, but generally speaking stats are better on sealed than effects. But why is that? Because generally on the ladder all the creatures with big stats and no effect, you will play those and probably those will be dealt with spell and so on, and you will have gained nothing from that play because you literally never traded or never attacked with that big creature. Instead, in this modality, as I said, there are really few clears. This means that with your big body you can really dominate the board and take the board and start to take all the trade that you want and so on. So big starts are really important. That's why, for example, if you ask me what I would prefer in my deck, if the 6/10 with Frontline or Apocalypse Now that is a broken card in the normal mode, I would probably pick all the time the 610 because that card is big stats, you have Frontline so they have to go through that and literally can stop all your opponent board, and in the meantime you have even a creature that can attack. Instead, Apocalypse Now, when you utilize that, you board wipe, but you really don't have a really big follow-up because you are not playing a real control, you are playing a deck made with random cards, so yeah. It's not that good. So guys, before the last 2 tips, I would really love if you can drop a follow or even a like. All those things really help me and will help even you because you will see more of my video and those videos will help you to get better. The 8th tip is to check his 3 balls. And you can say that this seems kinda sus to say, but actually it's really important. What are the 3 balls? So essentially, near to their deck when you play, you will see 3 balls, and those 3 balls will represent their 3 god that they have. And this is really important to see because then you can have a really general idea of what they are playing, what will be their cards and so on, at least the staple card. What are the staple cards? The staple card that you have to think when you see those balls are the board clear. For example, if I'm playing versus a Deception, I know they can have Rapture, or if I'm playing against that, I know they can have Bifurcating Curse, and so on. So those at least are the general idea that you have to make. And obviously this doesn't mean to play around all their care, because in this way you will not optimize your gameplay, and even because the deck is still randomized, so it's not sure that if they have Deception they will have Rapture in the end. But still, this can really help you, because if you have like 2 line and both are good, but one play around their clear and one doesn't play around their clear, is a lot better to take the line that can still go around their board wipe. And the last tip that is actually really important, but still a few people doesn't know that you can do that, is that you can change your god power and your deck list whenever you want. So even like the 3rd, 4th game, you can go back if you are not sure about your deck, you can change a few of cards, and then you can even go back and change even your god, obviously still from the 3 that you have been randomly picked, but still you can change things if you don't think you are getting the best from the cards that you got. And now guys, if you want to play Ghosts Unchained, go in the description, there is my referral link. I guess see you to the next video. Good luck with the 7 wins.